Hello and welcome to this session regarding functional skills. So I've put this video together for people to understand really their roles and responsibilities around functional skills. So whether you're directly teaching that or whether you're assessing that of some kind. So let's just look at some of the processes that we should be going through. So we know that functional skills come in 5 levels: entrance 1, 2 and 3, and then level 1 and level 2. We know that we have functional skills in English, Maths and IT, and that they're due to go through a new reform. But there still seems to be a lack of understanding about the type of teaching and learning that needs to take place, and then the type of evidence to support the teaching and learning. And looking at the profiling of the learners. So let's start. I'm a learner and I come to the training establishment. I go, I want to do functional skills as part of my course. In some way or another, there should be an initial assessment. Now that initial assessment can be paper-based or online. And that will normally test against reading, writing, maths. We don't seem to, however, do an initial assessment for speaking and listening. So it's really important that the person doing the initial assessment records the level of speaking and listening as well. And this is because a learner very well could have a great ability to write and a great ability to read, but their reasoning and understanding isn't at the right level. And what I would expect is that they might come up at level 1 reading, but entrance 3 writing, and speaking and listening might be at level 2. So we call that the staggered profile. There is absolutely no way that I'm going to believe that every learner that goes through a centre all remains at the same level. It just simply doesn't work like that. And equally, just because we score well in English does not mean we're going to score well in maths. So we should have what's known as a staggered profile. Then we know it takes roughly 45 hours per level to move up through the levels to be tested. So we should have an individual kind of learning program and resources to help bridge some of those gaps. We know that the learner isn't going to attend full 45 hours in a classroom. So therefore, we have to look at the teaching and learning materials and decide whether or not they're suitable for the learning environment. So, once we've conducted the initial assessments and we've got the profile of learning and we've given them the classes, how are we going to test those? What opportunities are there? Now, for me, it's all around gathering the evidence to support that. So, in a functional skills class, and we have the initial assessments, then in the review we should be writing things up such as this: these are the topics they've done, this is how they've progressed, and this is the assessment levels that they're coming up at. Each learner on their centre records must have evidence of a mock test. We simply just wouldn't be sticking learners in for an endpoint exam. But equally, we've had opportunities of draft speaking and listening assessments. And then finally, when we do the speaking and listening test, that's been tested as well and recorded. Now, if we're teaching them in class, there's actually no reason why we can't record those sessions. And the best thing about recording those sessions is that it becomes fantastic evidence. It means the learners can go back and watch them and pick up around some of the skills that they should be doing. But equally, you can use it as a teacher to use as reflection points. So, well, okay, look, who thought this was good, who thought this was bad? Now, on our website, we have resources for speaking and listening. So we have videos that you can watch, and we can ask people to mark them and to kind of benchmark. And once we've done the speaking and listening activity, it's useful in class for you to go around and go, well, okay, how would you have graded that? Would you have done that as a pass or a fail? So people understand the grading criteria. So bear in mind that if we are doing functional skills, there should be a huge amount of evidence there to support it. That's just from the teaching side. Let's look at the IQA side. So in functional skills, we should have a sampling plan. We should be able to sample when exams took place. We should know first fails, those that took it and passed first time, to those that failed. We should have evidence of reasonable adjustments. So there should be a huge amount of data around functional skills. First of all, what are the pass rates? Second of all, how many reasonable adjustments have we made? Third of all, what's the type of communities and how does that reflect back? Looking at special educational requirement needs, what are they? How are they addressed? Who's supporting them? Have we pulled down any additional funding? What does that look like? Without that, it's really difficult to prove that effective teaching and learning has taken place of functional skills. Equally, we should be standardised in our delivery method. So how many classes does the session look like? What is it we're teaching? What are the resources that we're using? And when we're talking about the teaching and learning resources, how have we made it relevant to that learner? So if we're teaching them in another field, so maybe we're doing a traineeship or an apprenticeship and they're doing customer service, the activities that we are using in the English, Maths and IT, is it relevant to customer service? Because if there's no relevance to the qualification, it's simply unacceptable because they just don't understand it. For example, in health and social care, all of the evidence for functional skills can be coming out of weights and measures and pills and cooking times and temperature times. So we have a natural way of gathering that evidence. If it's not embedded and cross-referenced properly, the learner will sit there and say, I see no relevance to this. Equally, if you make it feel like you are teaching English and Maths, you are going to trigger some negative experiences learners may have had back at school. We know that English and Maths are one of those subjects that people just hate. So let's make it more interesting and inspiring. Let's look at feedback from learners. And let's find other ways of delivering the session without them feeling we're forcing them down that road. If you're not sure about delivery methods for English and Maths and for functional skills, please come and speak to us and we can look at the curriculum that you've designed. But I find it hard to believe that in classes we're teaching level 1 or level 2 and then we still have mixed levels within those levels, and that we aren't running classes designed to meet outcomes at certain levels. So please make sure that you have the right learner in the right class being given the right support to be able to progress through their functional skills. And when it comes to that exam time, we need to make sure that we have evidence that invigilation is taking place, that ID is being checked, and that it is being recorded in line with our exams policies and procedures. If you have taught those functional skills classes as well, ideally we do not want you invigilating those exams. If you need more advice, if you need more guidance, or you need more support, please come and speak to us. But moving forward, let's make sure that we are profiling learners properly. Let's make sure we have the right resources and that we're prepared for them. Ensure that your class has gone through the role of the teacher and you have the right resources for the right learner. Let's look if we're going to carry out assessment that we have planned it, collected the evidence and judged it properly and fairly. Let's make sure we're standardised in what we do and the decisions that we're making. And let's make sure we've gone through the internal quality assurance process that we're meant to go through. So we're spot checking invigilations and that's evidence. And at the end of it, we're checking the data and we're collecting data to prove that differentiation's there and reasonable adjustments have been made. If you need any advice, just ask. Thanks for watching.